Hey guys, my name is Jay, welcome to my channel. This is where I like to share my art projects with you, and today I'm going to be working on a 1984 Mospeada ride armor kit from Robotech. I used to love watching this show as a kid before school, and this is actually the same kit that I worked on very early on as a child, and I had a lot of nostalgia working on this project, so hopefully you stick around and enjoy the video. We begin by cutting the parts off the sprues and grouping them together according to their assembly and gluing any of the non-moving parts. Anything with a hinge or a swivel on there, make sure that it remains mobile when gluing the halves together. And I do like to do a loose fit just to make sure the assembly is in the correct orientation, being left or right hand side. Once that's done, I've gone ahead and cleaned up any of the mold lines. And then I've gone ahead and made sure I don't get any glue near any of the joints for the arms and the legs, and that they remain movable once those halves are glued together. So once a lot of the core components are assembled, I like to do a little bit of planning here. Because this is a minimal color range, it's easy to work out where I'm going to mask and in what order I'm going to paint it. So it's always good to do a bit of pre-planning just to save yourself some heartache down the track. Firstly, I'm going to apply a grey primer just from the local hardware store. I like to add a bit of float improver to the airbrush, and I'm going to be painting the white first because that will be the easiest to mask up when painting the turquoise. So anywhere that's white, I give 2 to 3 thin coats to make sure I get that solid colour. Now I wasn't too bothered about getting overspray at this stage because we're going to be masking all of the white areas on the figure. Use a couple of different size masking tapes. It does make it easier for yourself, especially getting in all those little tight spots. So once I'm happy with all the masking, I'm going to mix up some custom turquoise paint, and we're going to spray all the remaining pieces with the exception of the wheels. We'll address those shortly. Now that we've completed blocking in those 2 major colours, we're going to do what every hobbyist loves to do, and that's peel off the masking tape. Before moving on, we're just going to do one more quick colour check, make sure we've covered everything we need to, and any of the areas we may have missed with the masking tape we can just touch up at this point. And then we're going to move on to painting some of the other finer colours, such as the sleeves of the arm, which is a nice blue, and also the knee pads and some of the other details on the chest, like the red lights and things like that. This is where it starts to get a little bit finicky, where you want to make sure that your lines are nice and straight and crisp. If you need to do further masking, you can. Otherwise, you've got a steady hand, go ahead and just paint that on with a brush. Just going to paint in the orange and yellows for the indicator lights, and then apply a gloss finish. Chuck some black wash over the metallic parts. Next, I'm just going to add some really watered down black wash to all the panel lines. This just helps add a little bit of the detail and separate all the different components to the armor. For the face, I haven't gone too detailed with the skin or the eyes, mostly because it's going to be covered by a blue visor, so you're not going to see too much of that detail. For this purpose, we're just going to go the basics so that they stand out through that tinted blue visor. For the wheels, I've hit it with a really nice metallic finish, which should contrast nicely against the matte rubber tyres. I decided early on I wanted to do a custom base for this, so I thought what could complement the ride armour any more than a section of roadway. So we're going to use some cork board and a small piece of MDF just to prop it off the ground. Now that I've got my boundaries marked up, I'm just going to use a ruler, and I'm going to use that as a support as I pull the edges of the corkboard up, leaving kind of a rough, jaggedy edge of broken roadway on each side. Now while I put that aside to dry, I've just mixed in some orange wash in with some clear gloss varnish and paint on the inside of the engine cover, and then repeat the same process with the blue for the inside of the visor. Right, time to add in some details. We're going to dry brush some metallics to bring out those blacks, and we're going to do some chipping. So get an old sponge, dab a bit of paint on there, get most of it off, and you want to push down and pull directly up when applying this to the edges, and focus on the areas where you think is going to be chipped and worn away the most. Now this is something that could take a bit of practice, and there are those out there who are much better at this than I am. This is the easiest and simplest way that I know of. Be brave with it. I know it's a bit daunting sometimes when you've got this pristine painted bit of armor or whatever you're doing, and then you've got to go in and potentially wreck it with chips and scratches, but take that first step and see what you come up with. You may very much enjoy it, and you'll end up chipping all of your future figures, so it is good fun. And next I'm going to repeat the process using some silver paint, just to really show that metal coming through underneath the paint job. Now to get the red stripe on the outside of the wheels, I'm just going to use some pinstriping tape. It's much better for curved surfaces, and then mask everything else up and hit it with some red paint. Peel that away and it should reveal a nice crisp look. Then I'm going to go in with some sharp tweezers and just scratch some of that red away so it has a bit of wear and tear and suits the rest of the theme of the model. Back to the base that should have dried by now. I'm going to add some grey paint for the road colour straight onto that cork, because you want that detail of the cork to show through to look like bitumen. Water down the paint a little bit more so it does really seep into those gaps. And for the tyres, I'm just going to paint some really watered down beige, get it in the tread, wipe it off with some paper towel, and then hit it with a matte finish. Now just the finishing touches to sell. This is a roadway. We are going to add some white stripes using some masking tape and some more grey paint. Once you peel those away, add some black washes once again to the bitumen, especially the edges, to add a little bit of contrast there as well. Now while that's all drying, I'm going to attach all the limbs to the torso, glue the visor on, and we are done. Cheers for hanging out. Just before the reveal, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Queensland Networks, who custom created my PC for my content creating and gaming needs. Check the link below.